says, may I ask why you guys say your contact number? What do they talk about on hand? What are you going to let? But it says, I don't understand anything, but it looks so cool. What's up, Internet? Current 1776 here, hanging out here in my shop. And I'm going through some of my ham radio content that I've recently posted. Some of you guys know that I'm a ham radio operator now, obviously by seeing the videos. Have been for, it's been 5 years. See, June will be 5 years that I've been a official ham radio operator. And it's kind of been like, you know, kind of my hobby that, you know, I really didn't share a whole lot. But the more I thought about it over the years, I'm like, man, others need to know about this. This is something that I hold as being an essential to my emergency preps, my skill sets, the whole nine. As I've said in my other videos, there's a freaking rabbit hole that is never ending when it comes to ham radio, from emergency communications all the way to just having fun and talking, using satellites, talking to the International Space Station, locally, all over the world, blah, 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 you name it, right? Digital modes, packet, email, you can even send images over ham radio. So I've been posting some videos, mostly shorts. Of course, I got the Parks on the Air video that I did about a year ago that a lot of people have enjoyed watching, and that was the first real radio video that I ever did. Posted some videos, some short form videos of me just making contacts, and a couple videos from the hamcation down in Florida. So I was going through comments, and I seen some comments in here that I, felt like probably deserved, some clarification or me making a comment about it or whatever. So we're just going to go through a few of those, okay? So let's go through the comments here. It says, may I ask why you guys say your contact numbers? I'm new to this, but it looks really cool. Awesome, man. I'm glad you think it looks cool. It is cool. So to answer your question, I'm assuming you're talking about our call signs. Like when I say November 4, Bravo, Kilo, Charlie, that's my call sign. That's my station identification. The guy in Aruba here, I'm sure his call sign will show up here in a minute. Yeah, Papa 4-3 Lima. So it's no different than when you're listening to FM radio driving down the road, right? In a certain amount of times while broadcasting, the stations have to broadcast their station ID. So, like the station I used to listen to growing up when I lived in North Carolina was WQDR. So, WQDR for station identification, same thing. My call sign is associated with me, and that is my call sign, November 4, Bravo, Kilo, Charlie. That's my station's call sign. No matter if I'm here or if I'm, using HT, a handy talkie, or I'm out at a park doing Parks on the Air, that's how we identify ourselves. That's just a requirement through the FCC, to continue to obtain our license and stuff like that. And it's an identifier, right? So you got websites like QRZ. That's where you can set up a page. Just think of it like ham radio social media page, for instance. But that's where I keep my logbook. So when I type in somebody's call sign and they're set up on that, it tells me their name, their location. They might have their own little page that talks about their station or what their hobbies are, or yada, 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 right? So when we see November 4, Bravo, Kilo, Charlie, that's my call sign. And the other station tells me their call. And then we say each other's call so that we know that we're talking to each other, because there's could be multiple people on there. If you're talking about the 5-9, what that means is on the meters, I don't know if you can see it up here. I'll bring you up here, show you this. So you see, I got a 1 through 9, and then we got 20, 40, 60, obviously 10, 30, 50. But let me get to a station here. All right, so right there, I can hear this guy. So those guys are talking, right? Now you can see the meters moving. So it's getting up there to about an 8, 7 to 8, up, creeping up to 9. So if I hear you really well, I'm going to give you a 5. If you're really, really, really soft and I can barely hear you, I'm having to kind of work to hear you, and then that'll be down there closer to 2 or 1. So a 5 means you're loud. I can hear you very, very well, right? No problem. Like right now, I can barely hear that guy. I can hear him, but barely. Now, this guy right here, I'd give a 5. And this guy right here.
So, considering the bank conditions, great signal.
So that guy's really loud, right? So I'd give him a 5. So that's the first number. The second number is 1 through 9 or above, right? So a 5, 9 means I hear you very well. I'm giving you a 5. 9 means your signal is putting my needle here at 9. Or if I say you're 20 over, it's all the way over here. 40 over is all the way over here. So first number is how well I can literally hear you. Second number being the meter reading. Now, a lot of people joke around. They say, hey, everybody gets a 5.9. Well, in some contests and stuff, yeah, it's all about speed. I'm not worried about giving you necessarily a proper signal report. If we make contacts 5.9, I'm moving on to the next contact. That's just how contests go. However, you'll also may see videos that I put out and others put out, they give a station a 5.9, but you're like, wait a minute, their meter didn't go to 9. Why are you giving them a 5.9? Well, if you got certain filters and you got your signal attenuated, you got certain things done on your radio so you can hear somebody better, it affects your needle. So your needle's not the end all be all. If I can hear you very well, like really, really well, and you sound strong and you're coming up over the noise level, I'm just going to give you a 5.9 and be done with it. It's not in concrete that you've got to give everybody a perfect signal report every time. But if you sound really good and you're coming up above my noise and I've got all kind of filters and everything done, we're just going to call you a 5.9. So that's the numbers, the call signs, and signal reports for whichever one you may be asking about. Yeehaw. All right, let's see what else we got. Right here we got a guy on this same video in the comments. He says, let's see this, you gave, YEWGAVE, what do they talk about on ham? Well, talk about anything that anybody else would talk about, all sorts of stuff. So you got different things going on. You got contests. All they're worried about is getting signal reports. You got DXers that like to carry on short conversations with people, but a lot of them, they just want to get a signal report. So like, it's like early in the mornings, I can get out to Europe really well on 17 meters, Ukraine, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Africa, Australia, and stuff like that. Like one goal for me back when I first started was I want to talk to somebody in all 50 states. Does that mean I'm gonna carry a conversation on with at least one person in all 50 states? No, I just want to make a contact to somebody in all 50 states and they confirm that they made a contact with me. And then, you know, you can kind of get awards. You can go to QRZ, and if you win an award or whatever, you can pay for them to print it and you can put it up on your wall that you've worked all 50 states, or you've worked all of Europe, or you've worked all continents, or you worked all counties in a state, or all counties in the United States. Matter of fact, I got a friend of mine that I've known most of my life, been a ham radio operator since, I believe it was the early 80s, and that dude has made a contact to every county in the United States 2 times, and he's working on his 3rd time. You got those kind of people. They just want to make contacts, and they want to fill up their logbook. Then you got people that just want to rag chew. Rag chew meaning we're going to hang out and talk, and there could be upwards of 15, 20, 30 people in a rag chew session. I do this every Sunday and Wednesday night, and sometimes every night on 80 meters with a group of about 10 guys that are from Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. I think there's a couple in Ohio that we all, every single night, somebody is on that frequency, we get on there and we just talk about our day, we talk about our hobbies, we talk about hunting, fishing, whatever. It's just having conversations with people. And sometimes, matter of fact, we'll show a little clip here as well. I talked with a guy in Australia the other day.
It's a lot of fun. But, Brandon, I've got to ask, I'm looking at your QRZ page and well, it looks like you've got a bit of is that like a flamethrower? Is that you got on your back there? Go ahead.
It is a flamethrower. So, yeah, kind of long story about me. I'm in the survival and prepping kind of space. And I actually have a television show on Netflix that you may enjoy checking out if you've got Netflix. It's called Southern Survival, and I play around with that. And I just really wanted to get a contact. I didn't know if the guy would necessarily want to carry on a conversation with me. We talked for 15 minutes, had a blast. Talked about our stations. We talked about what we did for work. We looked at each other's QRZ pages and talked about the pictures that were on there. So it's a great way to meet a lot of really cool people and actually have conversation about literally anything. Of course, you got politics on there if you want to get into that. You can talk about whatever. So it's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got. All right, so here in this clip, I am making a contact with Brazil, I believe. Only 2 comments in here. First one is Delroy Nathan 7794 says, "This is awesome. Would love to learn this way of communication or just what that's called or what it's called." So appreciate you, man. It's called amateur radio. That's technically what it's called. Ham radio is slang for it, okay? That radio system's not ham. The bands we're talking on are not called ham. Just for those out there wondering, a lot of people say, well, what's that ham you're talking on? Or what ham are you talking on? And blah, blah, blah. So it's technically called amateur radio, okay? And it's regulated by the FCC. We have these bands right here. These are all bands that we can communicate on, be that digital, be that Morse code or CW, be that voice or phone talking, all the cool things, right? So it's been around for a very, very long time. The way ham came about, so quick fact about ham radio, the way ham came about was back in the day, the way it was first implemented was using Morse code or CW, dot, 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 knowing how to, decipher and communicate using dits and dots, Morse code. And you had guys that were really, really good, really, really fluent in that, right? And then amateurs, because they were the pros, the amateurs got into it or whatever and started doing it. And the people that were really, really, really good at it, like the first ones to do it, said it sounded like they were using hooves, a hoof or whatever, like a pig's hoof to run the key to do the Morse code. They were a little bit sloppier. They were a little bit heavy-fisted. They didn't have that finesse doing Morse code. So they called those people hams, and it kind of stuck. And that's why amateur radio operators consider themselves ham radio operators. So you'll hear this called as ham radio or officially amateur radio. And it's really cool. It's regulated by the FCC, rightfully so. I'll get into regulation and testing and all that here in a minute. Some people have a absolutely ridiculous perception on it that I'll give you my perception about. And but it's fairly straightforward and easy. It's not super easy, but it's not very, very, very difficult. Okay, you put in time to studying and understanding and getting involved with a ham radio club nearby. You don't have to be a licensed amateur radio operator to be interested in it and learn it and hang out with people that do it and understand it before testing. Understand that, folks. You don't have to take a test and know this stuff to be able to be involved with it. You have to take a test and be licensed to talk on it. But that doesn't mean that if you're interested in doing it, that you can't start studying for it and then surround yourself with people that do it so you can learn from them, and it'll help you with your testing. Things will start making sense versus studying something that you don't understand at all, right? So if you want to do this, I suggest you right now start looking up amateur radio club nearby you. I'm sure there is one nearby you. Contact them, go to a meeting, go to some of their events, make a few friends there, and start just being around it. Ask questions. While you're doing that, be studying for your test. And then when you're ready to take your test, your club will help you get your testing figured out, where to take it. Maybe they can help you with it, etc. And then that's when you really get into falling in love with it, because now you can really use it, right? And the things that you've learned and the things that you study start to click. So I think I answered that question. And next on here we got Ice Spice #1 Munch. These names, man. What are you going with that? But says, I don't understand anything, but it looks so cool. Well, I think what I spoke about earlier will probably help you understand that. So I'm glad you think it looks cool, because it is cool. And it's been around a long, long time. And for your entire life, those transmissions have been going over your head and through your home and everything. All around. Ham radio has been a part of your life, your entire life, and you didn't even know it. That's pretty cool, I think.